The highly contentious and certainly divisive plans for vaccine passports in England have been ditched by the government. Health Secretary Sajid Javid confirmed yesterday the plan will not go ahead in England.
Well, Alistair Carmichael is the Liberal Democrat Home Affairs spokesman, joins us now. Good morning, Alistair. Are you surprised by this latest U-turn?
Not massively. You must be a fairly sad individual if you're surprised by U-turns in the government these days. You're not paying attention because they seem to come around quite regularly. I think, you may have seen that I led an urgent debate on this on Wednesday in the House of Commons, where Nadeem Zahawi, the vaccine deployment minister, was absolutely given pelters on all sides, especially from his own backbenchers. And it was clear at that stage that the only way they were going to get the measure through the House of Commons was if they did it without actually having a vote. I think they realised after a while that even that wasn't going to happen. So, once we got this matter onto the floor of the House of Commons, I think it was only a matter of time before it ended. And as long as this is finally the date of this dreadful idea, then I'm delighted.
It's an ever-evolving crisis that we're in, this pandemic, and we're not out of it by any means. But the government is now saying that the vaccine campaign is sufficiently successful for them to make decisions like this, and it's only now that they're able to do that.
Well, it seems to have made remarkable progress since Wednesday, doesn't it? They've been on off on the idea of vaccine passports for ages. And the truth of the matter is that no matter how successful the vaccine campaign has been, and it has been successful, then, that alone, or vaccine passports, was never actually going to make a difference. It was always, in fact, going to be counterproductive because I think it would have risked creating a false sense of security amongst people going into nightclubs and big events. If people think that they're somehow in an entirely safe environment, then the guard comes down. But the government's own figures say that for even those people who have had both jabs, still 40% of them can catch and then transmit the Delta variant. There are no quick fixes, there's no gimmicks, there's no silver bullet that's going to fix this. Yeah, we've got to get the vaccine into as many people as we possibly can, and for those people who do catch the virus, it's test, trace and isolate. Get that right. Spend your attention, spend your money, give all your efforts to getting these things correct, rather than coming up with a gimmick here, an app there, whatever else it's going to be.
And Alistair, let's just go back to the nightclub situation, because it wasn't long ago. I mean, we've talked about the confusion and we're seeing this huge U-turn. Nightclubs were the one area we thought 100% the government would get over the line, because Boris Johnson apparently was all for it, wasn't he?
Well, yes, indeed, and Michael Gove even seems to have an enthusiasm for nightclubs as well. But, this shows the weakness of the whole idea. When asked the most basic question, like, how do you define a nightclub, and how is a nightclub different from a pub with a DJ or whatever? Then they didn't have the answers. But whatever the setting, allowing people to think that they're entirely safe when in fact there's still a substantial risk is the core root of the problem here. And quite apart from anything else, this was a massive change in that relationship that we all have with the state, with our government. Never in peacetime before have we allowed the government to tell us where we can go, who with, and what we can do when we get there in this way. So, for all sorts of reasons, on every level imaginable, this was a bad idea, and I'm delighted that it's going, as long as it's going, because, of course, in his final interview yesterday, Sajid Javid said, well, of course, we keep it in reserve. I think the price of freedom is going to be eternal vigilance here.